I went to that Trump rally years ago, and I'm so glad I did. I got to see that shit.
Dude, I want to go to one. I really do. Like at least once in my life. It feels like a trip to Mecca.
You cosplay as a Trump supporter?
Yeah, you want to fit in. Like you don't have to cosplay as a Trump supporter. Just don't cosplay as anything else.
Yeah, when
could I just go in like pants and a white t-shirt? Like I feel like that would be fine, right?
Yeah, you're white. You're fine.
Is there a MAGA
maybe
dress
take that
code?
lip ring out. But
that is a dead giveaway.
No, nobody's gonna fuck with you about that for real. No, I went to Hickory, North Carolina, and I read online. They're like, get there early, sugar, if you want a good seat, because it's first come, first serve. You can't buy first row tickets. So I figured, man, I just got to stay in Hickory, North Carolina overnight. So I drove up there, spent the night in Hickory, got up at 4 a.m, maybe. Like we barely got any sleep. At 5 a.m, when we got in line, something like that, it was dark, very dark, huge line of people. I was in like.
Did you go with anybody or just by yourself?
Yeah, I took my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
She was down. So there we were in like the 7th or 8th row, close enough. I could have definitely nailed Trump with my shoe. Like I could see Chris Christie's fat rolls and his silly socks.
Wow, you were close enough to see Chris Christie's fat.
So was I, and I didn't go.
He's in the nosebleeds.
Let me tell you how much people loved him then. I'll say that.
When did you go, by the way?
This is in the midst of the 2016 run.
Oh, I got you.
In Hickory, North Carolina, which is a small, like, conservative town. College town, I think, maybe. But he was late. Trump was. There was fog, and and Trump Force One couldn't descend through the fog.
It wasn't Trump Force One yet. Okay, let's get the lore right.
It wasn't.
I thought that's what he just called his private plane.
Yeah, I thought he called his private plane that. He didn't call it Air Force One.
But he was like 4 or 5 hours late to his own thing. He rolled in around lunchtime. Nobody was complaining. Not only that, they brought up a black preacher to talk about homosexuals and abortion, and we all sang songs for hours, and nobody left.
I feel like if you're the type to go to any kind of political rally, like you probably have some issues. No disrespect to you, because I feel like you went. I feel like you went in an observatory, like you were just curious to see what it looked like.
I was an observer. I bought merchandise though. I bought these. I just got them somewhere. Not Trump stuff, because that's kind of hacky. But these little buttons at the time that were like bomb the shit out of ISIS, or like lock Hillary up with Hillary like behind bars. Just these stupid little keepsakes from the thing.
But, how the turntables.
Right?
On that one.
Ooh.
What do you guys think? What percentage chance do you think Trump ends up incarcerated?
I think it's
that extends to house arrest, right?
I think it's a higher chance than I think Woody or Kyle do. I don't think he'll be able to run. I think they'll like hit him with something that'll preclude it.
What do you mean?
Okay, do you mean
I don't think he'll be able to run
somewhere?
for office. Something will land and he won't be able to, is my guess. So,
I've got a few bets on this and like various Trump bets, because I find it so fascinating, Trump in general. But there's different levels to that. So they could put him, worst case, crazy case scenario is they put him in some private weird wing of a federal prison somewhere. They're like, this is where we just built a wing. Mr. Trump stays here. That's like the crazy as it could get. Yeah. But on the other end, as vanilla as it could be, they could be like
house arrest.
Yeah. And that will extend to your plane and your and you'll be able to leave your house arrest at any time to campaign, to do anything for this. They'll have all these reasons that he can get out of his house arrest that will allow him to continue being essentially Donald Trump, guy who runs for president when he wants your money.
And he'll ignore what rules they do put on him.
And if they try to come and arrest the guy running for president, the Secret Service is going to be like, hang on a minute, we can't turn him over to you. So that there'll be none of that. So that could happen. That sort of, we're giving you but I think 36. Remember, I love in Godfather, they are suspended as a sentence. Suspended the sentence. When these guys had beaten his daughter like bloody and ruined her face, and he doesn't understand the concept of a suspended sentence. And he wants justice, Godfather. That could happen too. One of those bullshit 50 years in prison, but not really. Go away. Go live your life, billionaire Don. Like that.
What about Taylor and Woody? What do you guys think? Have you read the indictments? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. And I read the one on the documents case.
We read all of them. Well, I read all of them on stream. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It took us some hours to get through those.
It's tough. Here's my thing. He's guilty. He's absolutely guilty. Even people who defend him don't say he's innocent. They just say he shouldn't be punished. There's hardly anyone on earth who doesn't know that he tried to become president, even though he didn't win the election. There's no one on earth that says he didn't mishandle documents, keep them, refuse them to give them back, etc. There's no one on earth on the civil trial who says he didn't inflate not just the value of his properties, but the basics, like the square footage of the properties, or try to use weird comps to this is a social club and I'm going to try to value it like the most expensive home in the history of the world. Actually, he valued Mar-a-Lago
when you're going for a loan, but when you're filing your taxes, okay, it doesn't.
It's a whole different thing. Yeah. I could go on, but he's absolutely guilty of all these things. The question is, will Trump have consequences? And I'm like, well, no, of course he won't have consequences. One, half of America doesn't want him to have consequences. And two, I've been watching this guy. So I grew up in Ocean City, New Jersey, 15 miles from all these Trump casinos. He's never had consequences since I was young, since before I had armpit hair. Yeah. So I just don't know how I've been watching him for the last, 8 years, thinking they got him now. Right? The Russians emailed Trump Jr., said, I got dirt on Hillary. He said, I love it. And now the overwhelming narrative is the whole Russia thing was a hoax that never happened, right? That his campaign manager gave the Russians their polling data so they could more effectively manipulate our voters. And everyone just knows that was a fake story and you can't trust
the definition of Russiagate, I feel like it changes depending on who you talk to. Like some people think Russiagate is so when people said they hacked the election, they're taking that literally and they think that the accusation is Russia went in and changed votes or whatever. But if you just define, I always define Russiagate as just it wasn't even collusion or secretive. It just happened in the open. So Donald Trump just said hey, Russia, if you help us find these emails, you'll be greatly rewarded by our press. And then literally hours later, they're trying to do phishing schemes or whatever for the. So that was so was there illegality there? There were some question marks, but that didn't really shock me.
I can see him be was that bad? Was that wrong?
I didn't know you couldn't do that.
Was that wrong?
Folks out there, who thought that was a bad idea to ask for some help from a friend across the seas to attack that dirty, nasty lady? And everybody
Mr. Mackey from South Park.
True. She's a dirty, nasty
Trump
lady.
Won't face consequences. That's my opinion today anyway.
You don't think that one of these juries is going to find him guilty? These are felonies. This isn't he's not going to get.
It's just based on the fact, I think a lot of people started noticing Trump 6 years ago. I started watching Trump 35 years ago, and he's never faced a consequence.
Well, I think we're in the find out stage of the fucking around. I think he was shielded by the presidency for a while, and he no longer has that shield. And so it's up to a jury ultimately. I mean, it was juries that handed down these grand jury indictments. So these prosecutors were able to convince people in 4 different districts to hand down indictments.
Bankrupt. He wasn't paying his creditors. And then he got something like a $350,000 a month allowance to spend, just, walking around money. And I was he doesn't get consequences. He never has. And it's not fair. But if you're asking me to make a prediction,
it seems like he's dealing with a lot of consequences.
Don't you think that Melania should be more ride or die? He plucked her out of some village in Slovenia or some shit. She should be out front being you lie about my husband. These are lies. And she should be.
She did a chain migration with her family too. I
thought she was rich supermodel before Trump. Is that not?
When we say supermodel, there's been 10 ever, right?
There's a whole, or I guess you're right. I couldn't name it.
There's been 10 or 20 supermodels ever. If we want to really,
Cindy Crawford,
and
Tyra Banks, Brooke Shields. Wasn't she an actress? She was an actress.
She started as a 14-year-old Calvin Klein jeans model.
Oh,
look at my sexy 14-year-old pussy. And when I put on these Calvins,
who's Tom Brady's
that's what
wife?
The fucking ads were they were awful.
Tom Brady's wife or ex-wife.
Gisele's got more money than Tom.
She's a supermodel. That's more of
a tycoon S. What do you call a lady tycoon? Tycoon.
An heiress.
Just
I was waiting on you. But no, seriously. She was a model, and one of the things that I think goes back and forth is whether the more racier pictures that are nudes are her or not. But I've seen some like nudes.
Is that even in doubt? Like, I feel like that's 100% that it's her.
I've
right?
seen, yeah, in some of them, but I've seen all sorts of crazy pictures where I don't know if that's her.
Wait, are you talking about
like you'll see full on pornography and then everything in between.
Are you talking about Tom Brady's wife or
no? We're on Melania.
Melania.
So Melania's taken some topless pictures. I think even bottomless pictures, but you don't like see labia or anything. Like,
dude, have you seen?
Sitting.
Sorry.
I didn't. But Kyle is like, there are some where she's fucking like getting DP'd. I'm not sure they're real.
I don't think she had sex with that donkey.
Have you guys seen how fucking enormous Baron is? He's like 6'9", dude. He is
change that
enormous.
man's king.
Yeah, we should make. Let's get out of this whole voting thing. Let's make Baron king. His name is already Baron. Can you imagine a better regal name than Baron, other than like Duke?
No, we have their kids fight as their champions. So Hunter Biden versus Baron or something like that. Or maybe
I think
that's not looking good for Hunter Biden. Like,
really,
dude, Hunter Biden's like 6 months. Isn't he like 50 years old and he's smoking crack?
Underestimating the age problem.
In my head, Baron's a little skinny, but I'm just saying, if you give him 6 months and a training regimen and a fucking like a dietitian, he could get
6 months. That's 3 more inches of height for Baron. This kid's huge.
Yeah. How old is Baron? That's my thing. He's still 14 in my mind.
No, he's like 18 now. I think isn't he?
Yeah,
18's still a little young. If he was 22, he'd be getting into his man strength.
Dude, he is enormous, man. Is
that
Hunter?
Baron aged poorly.
Yeah, Baron looks like he's in his 50s in this pic.
Baron looks like he's had some fun with amphetamines and what.
I think Baron's a drug addict.
And then Baron's a drug addict? Is that what you said?
We're joking because it's supposed to be a Baron picture. And he looks like
okay. Do you remember that old? This is making me remember that picture of Baron walking next to his dad, and that meme where they kept photoshopping Trump's arms longer. Like longer and longer and longer. It was like Trump's arms have continued to get longer ever since he touched the Saudi orb.
Dude. And Trump is 6'3", bro. He's not like, he's a tall guy.
He's not actually 6'3".
This is an old picture. So? Baron is like 6'8" or something now. Like he's colossal.
Yeah. And that's like that's the face of a kid who's like not done with like he doesn't have a beard yet and he's 6'8".
Don't you stay growing until you're like 26? Doesn't it continue until you're
he's on like the Robert Wadlow path of height where like you have to start using a cane at 19 because your body's just so big. Yeah, well good for Baron Trump. Good for him being tall.
Yeah,
he's 17 right now. So I'm going to go with Hunter, even though obviously that tide is about to turn. I just don't see 17-year-olds beating grown men very often.
Yeah,
he speaks
especially
like
not
5
grown men like
Hunter.
17 is like you're like strong by 17.
So we have very different opinions of 17. I'm like 17. That's like when you first orgasm, right?
No, that's when you start dunking. Like that's what he's doing at 17.
No, we were like, let's do this. Look. I hope Bernie runs. That's what I want. I want Biden to. Here's my dream. If I were the crafter of the universe, if I were the writer of history, if I was like that godlike entity in Marvel, I would make it so. Biden would die. Kamala would die. like late in the running, and the
How would they
die? They would die public. I shouldn't go into that. I mean, I don't
so like violently.
No spoilers.
No spoilers for Kyle's screenplay here.
At FBI on Twitter.
They would go in a rough way where like the American public would be like, "Oh no."
Okay.
Wait, they would die in a bad way. Public's like, "Oh no, gotta rally behind the Democrats."
So now who's the president? McHenry or something?
Bernie. No, he didn't win. It's
Bernie's even old.
Bernie steps in, old Bernie, and he comes. His running. How old is AOC? There's no succession. He steps in as the Democratic nominee.
I am seizing power now that it is my time.
When the president and the vice president die, there is succession.
Yeah,
Bernie did worse in 2020 than he did in 2016. His ship has sailed.
Okay, wait a minute.
He lost a lot of his spice when he was like, "I will never ever become an establishment Democrat."
Oh man, that's the worst case scenario.
I actually am now an establishment Democrat, and then gave all his money to.
So Woody, what you're saying, and you're correcting me, is that if it's election night and we're casting votes for, and Biden wins, but he dies in his sleep, and Kamala dies driving to get sworn in, then who becomes the president?
I don't know. We don't have it.
House.
Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
if it's election night, there's a Speaker of the House at that time, and right now it's.
But we don't have a Speaker of the House.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
we have a temporary
I think
pro
it
temp
actually.
one. So I actually know a little about
It
this.
falls to Kiefer Sutherland.
After 9/11, the Speaker of the House, they decided that he needed to assign like a pro temp or something like that. And there's actually another one, and they're secrets. We don't know who they are. But because McCarthy, why can't I remember his name?
McCarthy.
Is it McCarthy? Just like the old guy?
The old Speaker?
Anyway,
yeah.
All right. So anyway, because McCarthy got voted out, McHenry is the temporary Speaker, and he is currently third in line for the presidency.
It's him. It would go to him.
Yeah. And this is a 9/11 thing where they're like, holy shit, if we get really wrecked, like maybe those planes hit the Capitol building or something and we lose a ton of guys, we need to have a line of succession figured out.
They should redo the election if it happens that.
Yeah, like that would be so crazy to have
redo
two unelected like people in there. And I guess he would choose a VP. There wouldn't be a line of succession for VP. They would make the Speaker the president out of nowhere just because he's on the blue team or red team, and then he would pick a guy or girl to be the VP. In that instance, you could end up with some wacky representation.
And you could get anyone, because if the Speaker didn't want to be president,
anyone can be the Speaker of the House.
I'm gonna make my pillow guy my vice president, and now I resign. And then you got
here's a question of let's say that we're the Republicans and we find out that Donald Trump passed away in his sleep, but we know he won. Can we rally real quick, figure out who we want to be the next president, and make him the Speaker of the House?
You'd have to weekend at Bernie's him through the
we weekend at Bernie him through the next day, so he's
got sunglasses on
because we got to. I don't know what time they vote, but we got to get everybody together.
I actually wonder hypothetically, let's say either Trump or Biden, it doesn't
weekend
matter.
At Bernie.
They died a day or two before the election happens. Are we just voting for the VP and that guy wins and becomes president? I don't know how it works.
And it's about Bernie Sanders' bid for presidency, and he dies the night before, and they have to prop him up so they can vote it because they've got a wild card as the Speaker of the House. So we can't let that guy be. That'd be a great movie.
But at that point, votes would have already started to come in because early voting is a thing in other states or in some states.
Just redo the whole election. Just say, all right, all these votes, we're going in the.
We shouldn't pick anyway, Taylor.
The next nominee is going to be like Whitmer or something like that. It's going to be the median Democratic voter is center left. So they're not progressives have a little way to go before we're going to get an AOC type candidate. I think that'll happen in my lifetime, but the next one's going to be Whitmer or Newsom or something like that.
I've been sending.
Oh, that was my guess. My guess was Newsom is the next big guy for the Democrats because he's attractive and that's big.
I don't know how much national appeal he has because there's a lot hella people hate California. So I don't know if he could make that case on a national stage, but he's a really good speaker. There's that. But I don't know. I feel like Whitmer has a stronger case than he does. Because if you can be popular in that region, then you can have broad popularity all over the country.